Here we go, day 16 of 60, and I started this thing off feeling great. Not only did I get a good amount of sleep last night, but the scale decided to be my friend once again today. Dipping back down, not quite all the way, but back down to about where we were yesterday at 212.6. That brings me to 9.8 total pounds lost, but I was really liking that 10, so here's hoping tomorrow we get back to it. I'm gonna just keep putting up these other numbers, but I'm basically done talking about them, so yeah. Body measurements out of the way. Time to address the fashion elephant in the room. Yes, this is in fact the exact same thing that I was wearing yesterday, and I will not suffer your judgment. Sorry, I have been watching a lot of Bridgerton lately. You could, however, interpret this as an artistic choice because of the meals that I had today, and you'll see exactly what I mean, beginning with breakfast. It is, in fact, a near repeat of yesterday. Now, yesterday, we made these keto-friendly pancakes from scratch. Today, though, I was just toasting up the leftovers. 4 keto cakes, plus some bacon and a cup of coffee, brings my breakfast a bit higher than I expected, to 905 calories, 80 grams of fat. That is from those keto pancakes, for sure. 30 grams of protein, and 7 grams of net carb, with an approximate cost of $3.18. So though the basis of the meal may be the same from yesterday, we're starting out with a bit more consumed than I had hoped to, and unfortunately my poor choices did not stop there. Now with lunch, the theme continues, that of eating things from yesterday, namely finishing off the salad that I made for dinner last night, and then also just a smorgasbord of other things, finishing off some spinach dip, finishing off pork rinds, and splurging a little bit as well. For the most part, I have been well below my maximum number of carbs each day for this diet. And so finally, these have been sitting in our fridge. I went, I'm having one of these yogurts. I know it's got 7 net carbs by itself, but I am confident I can fit it into my diet for the day. That yogurt plus a handful of almonds, and this rounded out my lunch. All these things combined, 760 calories, 53 grams of fat, 48 grams of protein, 16 grams of net carb. Yes, 16 for one meal, and a cost of $3.37. As I said, poor choices. At this point, I now have 23 grams of net carb, and I am allotted 24 in my day. Not to mention my calories are up at the 1660 range out of roughly 1950 that I get. So I apologize once again. No snack to share with you, and a very customized dinner to make sure I met my macros. I was, however, excited for what I came up with to meet those macros. I have had this bag of shrimp in the freezer for the last week or so. And shrimp, no carbs, low fat, good protein. It was everything I needed to hit my goals. But I wasn't gonna settle for just a bowl of shrimp. So I added in a bit of butter, sauteed those up nice, and then a sprinkling of this Parmesan Romano Asiago mix, which also has 0 carbs. And this ended up being a pretty tasty, light meal. It's essentially Parmesan encrusted shrimp, guys. And though I did this with the macros in mind, calories here, 337 grams of fat, 16 grams of protein, 45 net carbs, 0, and a cost of $4.29. It is definitely a meal that I'm going to do again. Once again, despite the rather heavy start to my day, I was able to come across the finish line exactly where I wanted to be. Total calories, 2,002, just about 50 more than my goal. Grams of fat, 149, 3 shy. Grams of protein, 123, 1 over. And net carbs, 23, squeaking under the 24 limit, with a total cost for the day of $10.84. High five me. Now to fulfill a promise, not just from yesterday, but actually 2 days ago, and answer a couple of questions that I got from my day 13 video posted by Sharemonger. Here, I'll read all of them first and then kind of go through what I've experienced and what I've learned and doing a little bit of research. How does all of this fat intake impact cholesterol levels in the body? Is a 60-day program a typical doctor-recommended length for the diet? Have you found yourself craving anything you've been used to eating, and have you found good substitutes for those foods? Are you allowed any cheat days? As is probably easy to believe, there's no one straightforward answer to really any of these questions. If we had that, then this diet or some other diet would be like the end-all be-all miracle, this is everything you have to do and here's why kind of diet. Let's tackle these one at a time then. Impact on cholesterol. So cholesterol, there's, two different types, HDL, LDL, and that's really determined by the type of fat that you ingest. So yes, this diet has a much higher fat percentage, roughly 75% of my calories, 70 to 75, comes from some kind of fat. But because I am burning that fat for energy, that number, which sounds very high, doesn't necessarily impact my cholesterol as much as you would think. Now it does, however, that's where eating good fats come into play. So those non-saturated fats, avocado, olive oil, fats from nuts. It's about making those good choices. And they're similar choices to a non-dieter when you're choosing what kinds of things to consume. For me, though, I definitely have been trying to make a good portion of my fat calories come from the healthier fats. That's why you see so often in the videos that I'm eating avocado or adding avocado oil to something, specifically because I have that in mind. So in short, it can, but so can regular everyday eating. Next question is a 60-day program, a typical doctor recommended length. So I can find a doctor who recommends this diet, but again, there's not this big joint agreement on it. So it really depends on doctor by doctor as to if they would recommend this diet at all in the first place. As for length, same kind of thing. I couldn't really find a definitive this is the recommended length because it depends on why you're getting into it, what your goals are, how you treat it. It's not exact science in that sense either, because you could be calorie restrictive to lose weight. You could be maintenance, which is the exact calories you need every day, or you can be on this diet trying to build muscle. So you're having more calories than you burn in a resting metabolic state every day. For myself, I honestly just picked a number 60. I've been recently thinking, man, maybe I should have just done 30 because 60 is starting to feel a little long here on day 16. But I didn't follow any kind of guidance for that. And even though I have this commitment to 60, should things change or go a little too out of control that I really can't sustain them, then for my own safety, I'm not going to go all the way to 60. So no, I'm not aware of a typical recommendation for length of time on this diet. It's really about personal goals and situations. Have I found myself craving anything that I have been used to eating and found good substitutes? I was never really a big sweets, refined sugars, processed carbs kind of guy to begin with, so I'm not missing too much. There are some things that I just enjoy, like a good deep dish pizza. But along those lines, yeah, we have found substitutes for those things, like the fathead dough. We've made a keto pizza just yesterday, and then again today, of course, keto pancakes. And there's all these sorts of little substitutions when it comes to sugar alcohols and erythritol and ways to sweeten and flavor things that a quick Google search, and you can pretty much find some kind of keto-friendly substitute to satisfy whatever craving you might have. So, not so much for me. Lucky guy. And finally, are you allowed any cheat days? Now, this one I do have an answer to. You, like any diet, can do whatever you want, but there are consequences. If I were to consume what you might call regular number of carbs in one day, that would end my state of ketosis on that day. My body would recognize the carbs, switch back over to glucose as its main source of energy, and my ketone production would halt. That means I would have to go back onto keto for about 5 to 6 days in order to be back in a state of ketosis. So short answer is no. The moment you have a cheat day, you've kicked yourself out of the metabolic state of ketosis, and you put yourself a few to 6 days behind where you would have been had you stayed in the keto diet, so to speak. All fantastic questions. I'm happy to have given my own experience and a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of my own research into this YouTube video to answer those questions. But I certainly leave it to everyone. Whatever you read up on, whatever stuff that you can find, be informed by that. I am certainly no physician and am definitely new to this diet compared to some of the other people out there who have their own experiences to share. I simply hope that any regular person who's thinking about trying this diet can gain a bit of perspective from me offering up my own experience every day. Of course, if you have other questions or curiosities, please ask. I will do my best to answer everything, whether it's in the comments or if there are enough great questions like this one in a video itself. And that will do it for me today. 16 down, 44 to go. Hopefully I can make it. Thank you so much for joining me on this video, and I hope you'll join me for the next one.